Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Laura Canfield Show, the Awaken to Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm so excited. Our good friend Theresa Vee is back with us, and I really love when Theresa comes on the show because we always talk about something fascinating. I always learn something new, and we always do a wonderful process. So I know we're going to do a wonderful process later. We'll also be taking live caller questions, and who knows? And it's like it's also like the questions also bring up a lot of processes too. So be ready for that as well, right? And when people are asking questions and receiving the process, it's not just for the person asking, it's for everybody. So be willing to receive and be willing to be open. And, take notes, grab some water, grab some tea, something, get comfortable. And I just want to share really quickly, my mission is to support you in being the best version of you, living your greatest life with ease, joy, and love. And part of that is doing these wonderful shows with these wonderful healers and guests. And I'm so grateful and so blessed to have them come on the show to share their wisdom, their energies, their teachings, their love. And I'm so grateful for all of you being here with us. I mean, I'm so grateful. I wouldn't, honestly, there would be no show without you, right? So I'm so grateful that you're all here, and I want to thank you for spending your time with us today and taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here. So for those of you who don't know Theresa, I'll just tell you a little bit about her. So today we're talking about living in a new paradigm, right? And so part of what we're going to learn as we're talking with Theresa and her guides and angels, we're going to learn the easiest way to hear your guidance with clarity. We're going to understand why living moment to moment is necessary and how to feel much more comfortable with it, how to feel more grounded and certain, even in turbulent times. And we're going to talk about turbulent times in a few minutes. And we're going to understand why holding the vision just isn't enough anymore. Aha. So, and how to use this time of limitless potential to boundlessly create. Ooh, I love it. So I'm excited because, like I said, it's always so much fun having Theresa here. And for those of you who don't know, Theresa is an international speaker, a spiritual teacher, a mentor, priestess, master of the healing arts, and an angelic channel. She works with people who feel that they should have attended Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters before being sent out into the world. And she helps them to find the strength in their sensitivity and guides them in the use of these superpowers. Theresa is a visionary, a love warrior, and a fierce stand for peace who is widely regarded as a presence of unconditional love. In her uniquely effective way, she has been helping people expedite their healing and ascension for over 15 years, calling us into our authenticity and full integrity. And she empowers sensitives like ourselves to stand in the power of who they really are so that we can feel more alive, on purpose, and fulfilled. So please open up your hearts, be physically present here right now, and join me in welcoming Theresa to the show. Theresa, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me back. Thank you all for being here. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Me too. I'm so excited because like I said, it's always so much fun talking to you, and you're always surrounded by your team, and your team is always giving you information as we're talking, right? And so the conversation always goes in different directions, but we're talking about living in the new paradigm. So let's start with that. So first, before we get into that, what has been going on in the past couple of months since we last spoke?
Okay.
Hold on one second. Someone has decided to share their screen. Let me just change that because.
Well, Carolyn, you have a lot of tabs open. That's completely overwhelming to me.
All right. So only I can share, and I know that was by accident, so no worries.
I know. I'm just feeling for Carolyn.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I have a lot of tabs open too, if you only knew.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad I can't see. It's like when I open my phone or whatever and I see like 800 unread emails, I just want to cry.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I know. It's like, oh my goodness. Yeah, Julie, it definitely wasn't you. But yes, I definitely have lots of tabs always open. My bookmarks is like crazy, but not on my phone. I don't use my phone for that at all. So it's always my computer. But anyway, it's organized. I know what I'm doing.
Organized chaos.
Yes, exactly. All right. So what we were talking about, we were saying, what has been going on with you the past couple of months, especially I want to talk about like what happened on the plane.
What do you want to talk about? Okay, so first I just want to say, when we come together like this, you mentioned, I'm always surrounded by my team. you're all always surrounded by your team as well. So I just want to say that like right up front. And when we come to a call like this, we're all surrounded by the entirety of the team that comes. So everyone's team is here with us, which is why it's awesome when someone asks a question, because I can tune into your team as well as my team and get like a really well-rounded answer. So that's really what I want you to understand, is it's not something special that happens. It's something that we all carry with us, and it's just a matter of getting to listen and really hearing messages with clarity. So we'll talk about that. But so yeah, 2020 has been really interesting, and I think you can all agree in various ways, use of the word interesting. We prepared a lot at the end of last year. You know, the angels really had us gearing up our energy for this year, and they said we needed to hit the ground running. So it got to be February, because I did a lot of work gearing people up, and then January and February I was just like, I need a break. Like, I really need a break. So I booked myself a nice trip. I went away for 2 weeks, visited some friends and colleagues, and went to a conference and did all the things. So what Alara is asking about is I was on an inter-island flight in Hawaii, and it was a very short flight, and we got probably a little bit more than halfway through. And I fly with earplugs because I'm sensitive, and so that helps. And I'm drawing whales, because we just left all the whales and whatever. I'm drawing in my notebook. And all of a sudden I hear voices getting louder. And I look up, and the masks have dropped. And I'm like, and so this is what's going on in my head. I'm like, you have got to be kidding. This is not real. Right? So now I'm talking to like Archangel Michael and my team, and my husband's like next to us, and he's trying to pull the masks down, whatever. So the short story is that we don't really know what went wrong with the plane. What we do know is there was a cabin pressure situation. There was a smell that smelled like electric fire. The staff wasn't sure if the plane was on fire or not. And they just kept saying no one smoke, because now the whole cabin was full of pure oxygen. So that was very interesting. And I'm just the whole time sitting there saying, you know, talking to Archangel Michael, talking to my team, and just saying, we really need you now. We really need you now. And then the other part of me is like, don't make us do a water landing and go through a whole lot of work just to die anyway. Like, if we're going to die right now, make it easy. Like, that's kind of what I was saying. And so like we were pretty calm. My husband, who was like a completely nervous flyer to start with, he's taking selfies. He's like, so I know there was definitely angelic guidance and intervention. What ended up happening was the plane to land within 5 to 10 minute window of oxygen that we had. Had it not been able to land, we would have all passed out, and we probably would have ended up in the water somehow. So we were able to go. We had just flown over Honolulu. We were able to turn around and go there, and the airline actually handled it really well. The flight staff handled it as best they could. They gave us a gate 2 gates away when we got there, so it all worked out. But what was also really beautiful was the flight was within 2 hours, so the trauma didn't get a chance to set in with all of us. It's like, you know, if you have a car accident and then you don't drive anymore, trauma sets in and you become afraid to drive. So I was so grateful that they got us on a plane right away, so that didn't have a chance to set in for anyone. And it was Valentine's Day, by the way. And what was really beautiful was the way everything was planned. Like, I knew leaving here that something was weird, because I made sure that I left my will. I made sure that everyone knew where things were. I knew something was different, and that there was a potential here that I hadn't experienced before. And then part of me, when we landed, was like, oh, good, that was it. It's over. You know, like, I knew what it was. It was over. Yeah. There was no longer that question. And the next day we ended up seeing good friends who understand energy work, and they were able to, my friend set up a whole day for us to just reconnect with nature and be out in nature and do a bonfire and have beach time, and so that we could really get back into our bodies and just release whatever we needed to release. So nice. I was just so grateful for that as well. So everything takes care of itself, you know, when we really are aligned. But those moments were not fun, you know, like and then just dealing with everybody's stuff afterwards, because if you're a healer, people are going to find you, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
so if you are someone who works just on yourself and healing yourself, people are going to find you and tell you their stuff. So everyone was coming up to us and on, you know, oh my gosh, there's, you know, this is what I was going through, my kids, my thoughts, my, you know, so it was really just a very interesting thing to witness. Just
And
be a part
it's
of.
interesting because it kind of, you know, you kind of knew about it beforehand. You knew something was happening, something was going to happen. You didn't know exactly what it was. So you were, you know, part of you was a little bit ready for it, right? You were ready for whatever
Mhm.
it was going to be, either way, right? But it's just interesting how, you know, somebody said in the chat that you went to your team first, you know,
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
going into freak out mode, you were calm and peaceful and went to your team and say, hey, what's going on here, right?
Yeah, and you know, I had an experience 2 years ago flying where I thought because of severe turbulence, I'd never experienced anything that bad before. And I thought, okay, there's a chance that I'm not going to make it out of here. And what surprised me was when I connected in and I said, you know, I thought my life would be flashing before my eyes, but it wasn't. The vision of the deity that I resonate most with was standing in front of me that whole time. And so I knew that if push came to shove, that was what that moment was going to be like. I was just going to go into the arms of someone who loved me as much as I loved them at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
And so this time it made it, because already knew that, so it made it easier. You know, it just, yeah, there wasn't really any freak out. The human body, by the way, freaks out. It does its own thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's a biochemical reactions that happen, but in terms of everything else, it was very calm. Even the whole plane was really calm, amazingly. So,
Yeah.
which, yeah, yay, angels.
Yay, angels, and yay, you for having the presence of mind to stay calm and to actually be of service to everybody, because as you're staying calm, that's affecting everybody else around you as well.
Totally, totally. And you know, it's amazing when there's nothing you can do in that moment. It's like the surrender. Like that's the thing, is when we've exhausted our possibilities, the surrender takes over, and that's when everything is calm. That's when
Mm-hmm.
we get to that space of peace within us and release all control and just say, okay, you know, whatever happens, and just help it to be the best possible outcome,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that looks like.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Because when I saw the post on Instagram, you know, I was like, oh my God, what happened? Obviously you were fine, because I saw other posts after that, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my goodness, you know. But I mean, I fly all the time, and luckily I've never had any situation like that where the oxygen masks came down. Normally, if I had anything, it was beforehand. You know, there was a problem with the plane, and they, you know, put me on standby for like 2 days. But you know,
Oh,
yeah, fun stuff. But you know, never on the plane exactly.
yeah.
Um,
Good.
so yeah, it can be pretty scary, and that's when you have to really look at, you know, where are you going, you know, in your emotions and in your thoughts and your feelings. You know, where are you going, and are you staying calm, and are you using your tools, right?
Hmm.
And so part of, you know, for you, part of your tools is to connect with your team and talk to your team, get guidance and answers from your team. And so part of living in the new paradigm is about that, right? Getting support from your team, consciously connecting with your team, you know, and being more present in the moment, not just, you know, running on automatic pilot, right?
Yeah, it's this new paradigm is moment to moment. Like that's how we're living now, moment to moment. You know, back in the 80s and the 90s, you could see kind of down the line how things were going. Now you wake up in the morning, you go to bed at night, and it's like you have lived 46 years in the interim, because things have changed in the face of the world 46 times from
Mm-hmm.
morning till night. You know, like moment to moment based on what someone says or what someone does or what the market does, or like everything looks completely different every
Yeah.
moment. Um, and what was really incredible is in this experience, as well as I'm seeing in the world and with clients and just in general, there was no decided outcome. Even as everything was happening, um, I could feel that my team was telling me the outcome wasn't decided yet. And everyone in that plane had decided to be in this moment, in this experience at the exact same time if it was needed for whatever reason. And a certain amount of souls had to be the tipping point. Like a certain amount of people had to say, yes, I want to live, in order for us to make it through.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what's happening moment to moment in the world. Is as we connect in with ourselves, we're connecting with the energy of everyone else, because no matter what things look like on the outside, this new paradigm is about love instead of fear. It's about unity instead of separation. So that's how the energy is working, whether or not people mentally and emotionally are on board. So when we make that choice, then it empowers other people to make choices and to feel the energy of that. And then what happens next is decided in that moment of how we take an action or how we feel in. And that's been one of the big shifts that's been talked about, and it's been happening slowly. Like, we started to see instant karma in like the last couple of years. Like, you cut somebody off on the highway, 2 seconds later you get cut off. It's done, it's washed, it's over. But now it's like much bigger than that. It's about, what do you want the world to look like 5 minutes from now, and then how can you take actions to to do that. So it's holding the vision and taking the action. Now it's no longer just about holding the vision. We are now considered the hands, the feet, and the hearts of the divine on this planet, and nothing can get done without us actually doing it and us taking the actions.
And and it's funny. I'm always talking about taking action, right? I'm always talking about taking action, and I feel like a broken record. And it's like, people don't want to hear that. People want to hear more of, I don't know what, more of like, well, tell me what action to take, right? And so this is where the guidance from your team, connecting with your team, is going to be invaluable. But your team also cannot tell you exactly what to do, because we have free will and choice, means we get to decide, right?
Absolutely. And I love Deborah's asking, are you saying there's no stability? I'm just looking like at the world right now and be like, yeah, I guess we could say that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not true. It's the illusion of instability in the world outside of us, because things are moment to moment. But what is stable is the strength that we have from within.
Mm-hmm.
So, while, like we were just talking about on the plane, while all this stuff is going around inside of you, where do you go? Inside.
Yeah.
Where do you choose to put your focus? And that is the stability. All the stuff could be going on. It could all be happening. Outcomes don't have to be decided. But where are you? Because your outcome is decided based on where you go and based on where your energy is. And it's when we get ourselves to that point of stillness, of surrender, of resiliency, that we can most hear our guidance. People think, I got to reach, I got to talk, I got this, I got that. But what it is it's just getting really quiet. So, I always say, you could be jumping on a trampoline and be in the most quiet space. Your cells could be moving and jumping, but that could actually be expending your physical energy so that you can be energetically quiet and receptive. So that's what about being receptive to our guidance, getting ourselves quiet enough and centered enough and sovereign enough to hear the guidance, to feel the guidance, and then take the action. And what I love is people always ask, well, if I'm guided to this action and I take it, what if it's the wrong action? Well, okay, so if you're guided once, you don't have to change it. You can be specific with your team that you want 3 different times, like, so that this is definitely my guidance, especially if this isn't something you're used to. And then if it comes 3 times and it feels aligned and it makes you feel calm, so even if it makes you uncomfortable, if the guidance underneath feels good and calming, then it's coming from your divine team, and it's coming from a place of light instead of a place of fear. So so I would say in answer to Deborah's stability question, that there's more access to stability internally, which then allows us to bring it external. But if we just rely on what's outside of us right now, I would say there's probably not very much stability. At least that's how it's looking in the moment before we started this call.
Yeah, absolutely. And and the thing is, everything is, I don't like to use the word stable and unstable, but everything is in flux. Everything is always in flux. Everything is always changing. Even like, with the creation of the universe, it creates and uncreates, creates, uncreates, creates, uncreates. There's always movement, right? So if you look at it that way, it's like, yeah, there's always change. Everything is always changing. But how are you on the inside? And that's what you're saying. Are you stable on the inside? Are you centered on the inside? Are you grounded on the inside, right? Or is it just your mind going crazy?
Totally. And the universe is always expanding, right? The universe is always expanding. It's never contracting. So that's our nature as well. We are not separate from the universe. We are part of it. So our nature is to consistently be expanding. And, you know, what we're talking about is like maybe before we had more of an illusion of stability. Like I always like the analogy with the workforce. Like you entered the workforce, you had the same job for 35 years and then you retired or whatever.
Yeah.
And now that's totally not the same anymore. The energy then moved slower. It moved more slowly. So it was always changing, but it was changing at a much slower rate. Now the energy is moving much faster. We've ascended past the 3D. We're in 4 and 5D, which requires that energy moves faster. So it seems like things are changing much faster, or maybe we're noticing that things are changing when we didn't notice before. And it's just for that reason, because it's a much faster rate of change. And so I wouldn't, again, like you said, I wouldn't necessarily use the word stability, because I feel like I feel like that's the internal. But I would say that anything can be shifted in a moment. And that's the magic of this time also, because we're always thinking, oh yeah, it could be shifted in a negative way. But guess what? Things could be shifted in a moment in a really magical, positive way too. So the powers that be, there have been a lot of people really cultivating this for a really long time and knowing how to use and manipulate these energies to get other people to think like them. So what the challenge for us now as sensitives and people who work with healing energies is to really get strong enough to not get swept away in that anymore, and to be able to harness the power of this energy to create the world that we all want to see, to create a world that feels the way we all want to feel every single day. And that's where the magic is. And it's in spaces like this that we can kind of practice leaning into that, because it's really safe and we have each other. So that's the magic of this time.
And the thing is, we are always creating. We're constantly creating. But what are you creating? Something that you desire, or are you creating the same old status quo as before? Right. So that's what you have to look at. Are you creating something that you desire and wish for? Not wish, but is joyful and expansive for you, or are you just creating the status quo as before? For me, it's like I'm getting a little restless. I'm getting a little bored. There's like something needs to shift here. And so it's like, yeah, I'm creating the same old. It's time for something new, and so it's important to look at that. And for me, it's a constant thing. I get bored really quickly, so I have to be creating something new all the time. But the problem sometimes that I run into is, what should I create? It's like, is this good? Is this good? What's the highest and best thing that I can do right now? And so what is the easiest way to hear the guidance from my team, from my higher self, from my angels, because they are always with me. Like you said, I am connected to source, and I have that. I love that. I love having that connection. I love my team, and they are really supportive. But it's great because I can be supportive, or they're supportive to me, through me, when I'm channeling for other people.
Yeah.
But for myself, it's like, what's the answer? Hello.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's a beautiful part of human design, because that keeps us wanting community. That exact thing keeps us wanting and needing community. So while we can feel into our own answers, there's always going to be a limit to that. Like, the psychic who could tell the lottery numbers to someone else, but can't get them for himself. It's the same sort of thing. And that's just the way we've been designed. But we can. So when I ask my angels, my guides, I'll say, well, okay, what's the highest and best that I can create? And I check in with my community. Like I energetically tune into them and say, what do you need right now? The angels always come back to me and say, well, what would bring you, someone wants lottery numbers.
Yeah.
What would bring you the most energy, and what would bring you the most joy? And so they're constantly putting it back on me, because guess what? We could create anything we want and have it bring us the most joy. And that's what's going to serve the most, right? And so they're always asking me again. And then what I've decided to let myself have the space to do is test it with the community. Like, hey, I'm thinking of creating this. How does it go? I got to tell you, the most successful thing that I've ever created was something that I was inspired to do. I knew it wasn't the time yet. I waited about a year, and all of a sudden I woke up one day and the team was like, now, it has to be now. And I was like, okay. And normally this would take like a lot of back end preparation, and you have to design the web page and like do all this stuff. I was like, we are going to do this as simply as possible because I just don't have the headspace to do it any other way. And it was like put together with tape and love and sticks. And it was the most successful thing that I ever put out because it was just simple and it was exactly what was needed at the moment. And so that's really what they always put it back on us now. Like, what would bring you the most joy? And how do you feel inspired to act? And you may not know the answer to that, but you may know how you want to feel. At the end of the day, I no longer want to feel bored. I no longer want to feel like I haven't contributed to society. I want to feel tired, but because I know I did something important, I want to feel excited about having another chance to do whatever it is tomorrow. I want to feel joy. I want to feel love, like however. So when you can start telling your team, these are the ways I want to feel, they can work behind the scenes to start aligning the energies for you and start moving the synchronicities for you so that maybe you meet somebody on a train, or, you know, you meet somebody at the checkout on the grocery line that has the exact connection you need. So it's all about us right now, and really feeling into that level of joy, because we radiate that out, and that is the frequency that's going to change the world.
And and so that joy, like what brings you joy. Most of us know what brings us joy, what feels good, what feels fun, what feels expansive. But I'm, there are sometimes, I'm going to use Caroline as an example. Sorry, Caroline, I'm putting you on the spot. But if Caroline has wanted to do something, create something for a long time, and it always felt expansive, it always felt light, it always felt joyful, etc. But it's been, let's say, I'm going to say 10 years, Caroline. I know it's more than that, but let's say it's been 10 years and it hasn't come to fruition. So what does that mean? Does that mean she didn't do the work? She did the work. She talked to her guide. She talked to her team. She told the universe what she wanted. It was for, it is for, being of service to other people, but it still hasn't happened. So where's the disconnect there? Is she not getting the message? And sorry, Caroline, I'm saying you, but I'm also talking about me too. Is she not getting the message from her guides clearly, or is that dream not valid for her this time around? I don't know. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And what I'm hearing from Archangel Michael as you're talking about this is the question, what's missing? Like, it feels like there's a piece missing, and it's almost like, I know this piece of the puzzle is going to work, so I'm creating here. But there's this other piece of feeling or whatever that's not as easily accepted or acceptable. And I want to go to this level. Like, I feel it inside, but I just don't think other people are going to respond to it. So it's almost like there's a piece of us being held back because we're afraid that other people will reject it, it won't resonate, whatever that is. And this is not the time for that anymore, because everyone on this call can feel 100% authenticity, right?
Yeah.
And people now, you go to, you go online or you look at someone's Instagram and you can just be like, oh, this is totally fake, like 17 filters. Okay, this one totally inauthentic, right? So we can feel when someone's holding back as well. And if we're calling each other into our greatness, I'm not going to pay you if you're holding back, because I want you in your entirety. And if it doesn't resonate for other people, well, too bad for them, they're missing out. That's kind of where we are right now. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure there's anything huge being held back, but it almost feels like an emotion. It feels like something else that so take it for what it is. And again, if this doesn't resonate for the person that you called out, it may resonate for other people here or in other situations. So I just give what they show me. And
I mean, I used Caroline as an example, but I was really talking about me, So, but I use
Yeah, 'cause
Caroline
I
as,
think
as an
Caroline is saying, I
example.
don't resonate with this at all.
I know, and that's why. But I was really talking about me.
Yeah.
But I knew that Caroline has, that sort of thing going on too.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Is like, yeah, are we fully playing all out? Are we fully giving all of ourselves, or are we holding back? What are we holding back because we are going to be judged? That fear of rejection,
Right.
right?
Well, yeah. And why? Like, so for example, like I was inspired to create this thing, and it was like, okay, this is what it's going to be, but it's not time yet. Right. So holding it back was based on guidance and based on divine timing. But if I had said, people are going to think I'm crazy because I'm putting this out, what will my family think? They already know that, I'm that one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and see, that's from fear. So we have choices to make where we take actions from a place of aligned action and sovereignty and love versus taking actions from fear. And I've
Yeah.
always said fear is not a good reason to do or not to do anything. And so when I go to myself and I'm like, okay, where is the fear around this? Is there any? Then I know that I have to pull myself to the next level of something.
Yeah.
So I see we've lost video. Like there's a big phone on my screen. So I'm not sure if
No, you should be fine.
okay, there we go.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it was just for a second. No, we're
Okay.
all good. Um, so just to come back to, let's talk about how we can get the guidance. So like, so for example, if I'm, if I'm constantly like doing things that are not in the highest because of fear, let's say, there's a bit of fear, there's a bit of holding back, blah blah blah, etc. I would say blah 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 because
Could be anything.
it could be anything. So how can we learn to really hear that guidance more clearly? And who are we asking? Are we asking our higher selves? Are we asking the angels? Are we asking the ascended masters?
Yeah. So when I say our divine team, I always mean our higher selves, that part of us. Some people call it the Holy Spirit, intuition, conscience, like whatever vocabulary resonates for you. The deities that we resonate with, our angelic team, our guides, the ascended master, whoever it is that you feel most resonant with and know is a part of your team.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people don't know, and I'll just say, okay, God, universe, I need angels. Like, that's how we start. And then what we do is as we connect with those beings, we can start to actually ask names and feel energies. And that's the way I started with the angels, is I connected with them one by one. I felt the difference in their energy. So I started to notice who was around when. And so we can connect in that way. So when we're seeking the guidance, the thing that we can best do is do something that stills us. So in the yoga tradition, what we do is we do all of the postures before the meditation, because those postures work all the energy out of the body. They exhaust every single muscle. They move energy. They start the flow in the correct way. And then we can sit for meditation without having to worry that, my left eyelid's going to be itchy, my arm is going to jump, like whatever. We work the body out first. And so however it is for you to get really still, for some of us it's jogging, for some of us it's sitting, and then connect in and ask for the guidance. And so if you're connecting in and you're like, what's my guidance on this? You may get an intuition, an inkling, a visual. You may get nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go for a drive and there's a license plate in front of you that has your answer on it. Or there's a truck that won't go away that's driving next to you for 5 miles that has your answer on it. Or there's a song on, I was talking about this the other day with a group, and I was like, or there's a song on the radio, and someone was like, what's the radio? But there'll be a song that comes up on your playlist or whatever that really speaks to you. And so you'll always receive an answer in the timing. You just have to be still enough and open enough to see that it's your answer. And don't worry, you're not going to miss it. If you miss it, it will come back again and again. So
yeah, awesome, good,
worry.
thank you. And and that's the thing, it's like sometimes we are asking and we want it to sound a certain way, a specific way, and to be honest, we want a specific answer, right? Sometimes we want a specific answer, and so it's about being open to whatever guidance comes through, as long as it feels expansive, light, and resonates with you, right? Because the guides are never going to say no. They don't say no, but you might get that you need to ask more questions kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But no
Or
one's ever going to tell you what to do or what not to do.
no, you might get a question back and there might be an inspiration, but you know, or if you're asking a direct question, like what's most needed in the world right now, you may get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then how do I bring that is, well, in which way would it bring you joy? Or you'll start to open to potentials. Oh, I could do this, or I could do this, or, you know, and so there'll always be more inspiration than direct answers, unless there's something very direct. Like sometimes between like 2:30 and 5:30 in the morning, there's some very direct stuff that's given. Like, okay, this is part of what you signed on for this lifetime. You're not doing it, so let's move some energy, you know. But they'll never ever. It's always free will choice. We always have free will choice, and even if our guide said to us, we really need you to do this, we really need you to go preach in the park about this topic, you can always say, no, that doesn't feel good to me. And that's it. Then what happens is that intuition goes to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever needs to get done will get done, but you may not be the right vessel for it. So they'll keep trying until they find the right way where it feels right to you.
Yeah. Awesome. Good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is like, be open to it. And so ask the question, look for the answer, you know, meaning look for the message, you know, like like sometimes what I do is I'll ask a question and I'll say, okay, or even before I ask the question, just to make sure that they're actually listening to me or getting the message, or that I'm receiving messages from them, I'll say, okay, you know what, if you hear this message and if you respond back to me, I want to see this butterfly 3 times or something like that, right? And then I'll see the message, I'll see the butterfly 3 times in weird places, you know, it's like, you know, so it's like, oh, okay, so that's a sign from them that, yeah, they are communicating with you. But are you willing to see that butterfly? And are you willing to go step by step? Or you just want the big answer right now from never talking to the guides and, you know, you're asking the big questions? Go slow, right?
Yeah. So one of my favorite stories about this is I have a cousin who's their dad died, right? And so it was my uncle, and he passed on, and my cousin was having a really hard time like processing the whole thing, and she's like, I want a sign, like I want a sign. And she would go out every day and like look to the clouds and expect a cloud to be in shape or whatever. She's telling me the story and she's like, he's just not communicating with me. I'm not getting any signs. And I said, really? So what happens? You go out there? She's like, and I'm looking at the clouds, waiting for a sign. And there's always this butterfly that keeps flying into my face. It won't leave me alone. I'm like, well, why are you looking at the clouds when he's literally hitting you in the face? Like, so she's like, you think that's it? Like, my dad had nothing to do with butterflies. I said, it doesn't matter. So just start to pay attention when you see butterflies and see how that feels. She was like waiting for a cloud that looked like a train to like come by or something. But when she realized that how weird the places where the butterflies came in were, she was like, oh yeah, so now she's all about the butterflies. And, you know, but it was just really funny because the butterfly would come and keep hitting her in the face and she was missing it. It was great.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, sometimes it is so obvious, but you know, our attention is elsewhere, right? So be more present in your life. And once you've asked a question, be on the lookout, because you're going to get an answer, right? And that's what you have to be open to, whatever answer they give you. Okay, so that's about, you know, being an allowance, right? And being willing to receive and accept that it's, you know,
it's allowance.
Yeah, right. And I'm, you know, I'm a control freak. Okay, so you know, I get it, you know, and so it's practicing. So start with something small, keep practicing, keep asking questions, and be willing to receive, right? Allow yourself to receive the answer, and allow the answer to be whatever it's going to be. Okay.
That's it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's really just about relaxing in and knowing that the answer is coming. And then from that place of knowing, where we're no longer like, I need the answer now, we're just like, okay, I know it's going to come. Then when we're relaxed, we can actually see all the ways that it's actually coming to us. So it's about relaxing and allowing, because where a lot of us have kind of strayed in the past, like, you know, myself included, is doing the asking or the prayer or whatever it is, and then not trusting that I'm worthy of the time of those other beings. Like, oh, there's so many more people that need stuff, and this is, and so my unworthiness, or my thinking that there are bigger fish to fry, so to speak, than what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That prevented me from seeing that. And I actually just had a call earlier today where they released a lot of, for the collective, unworthy energy. So I'm so grateful we're kind of moving out of that now.
Mm-hmm.
That's not coming with us into this paradigm. Like, as we move through into this paradigm, anything that is not aligned with moving into the 5D energy is just, it has to come up and out of our systems. So this is part of it, is that, not that part of us that contracts after we ask, when we need to expand in order to connect.
And that's something that we've been hearing quite a bit from everybody, it seems, is that, whatever is not in alignment with you, whatever is like the lower energies and negative energies, the fear, all of that is coming up to be let go of, so you have to be willing to see it, I think, anyways, in my humble opinion, to see what it is, so you can let it go fully. Yeah. Right. And so, a lot of times you might be questioning yourself, you might be questioning your intentions, you might be questioning what's going on. That's awesome. Question and then choose. Okay, question and then choose. Right. So there was a question from Deborah here. 1 second. I saw it a second ago. She says, I thought it'd be interesting. I asked for freedom to travel, something uplifting with animals and nature, but not getting or understanding guidance. So many options are showing up. How do you get to know if it's true guidance? Is that silly? So that's what kind of a bit about what we're talking about. But do you want to expand on that?
Yeah. So there's a lot. So what happens is, especially when we've been doing spiritual work and we're like, I think I'd like to travel, and I think I would like to do more with animals and nature. The universe is like, oh, she's putting out a signal and she's open. Okay, good. So that was pretty non-specific. So let's just flood her with stuff, right? So there's a lot of stuff that comes in. And when we receive these opportunities, what we need to do is go through them and say, yes, 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 no. Or, okay, this feels aligned, but I don't like the price point, or I don't like the tour company, or like whatever it is, start creating small boundaries, like small vessels of direction for universe, like what feels good to you about something, what doesn't fully align, so that then your guides can go back and say, oh, look, new list from Deborah, so let's find something else that meets these criteria. It's like that a lot of times, and you're gonna laugh, but it's like that a lot of times when people are trying to manifest their life's partner. Right? Yeah. It's like, okay, well, these are the things I want in a partner, and universe brings us a lot of people sometimes, like especially with dating apps, it's like, oh yeah, no, that didn't feel right. This worked, this didn't work. But it's just about allowing ourselves to get a little bit clearer, so that then all of a sudden one day the right thing comes in and it's like, whoa, that's it. So just like as an example, years ago, my client started asking for more nutrition information. And I was like, I think I might want to do more in line with nutrition. Where do I go for that? All of a sudden, all of this information started coming at me. And then one day I got one email for the 15th time. And I was like, that's it. Like, that's the one. And so I didn't even open the rest. I was just like, I'm signing up for this right now. So that's the difference between being flooded and like kind of knowing which one is real guidance, and how you navigate through that stream. Does that make sense?
Yep. And so how can we better connect? I mean, I know meditation, getting silent, being present, and just, asking, but is there a specific way of connecting to our guides?
It's different. I wish I could say, yes, just sit down, hop on one foot for like 5 times and then whatever. But it's different for each and every person. The thing that is the biggest in terms of getting the guidance is really getting to a still point inside. However that looks. You can talk to your guides all the time. Like, you can talk to your guides. Like, if you're having frustrations with your children, you can just be like, I really need you guys here. It doesn't have to be like, okay, I need to go meditate. But where you'll feel the guidance is from that still point within you. There are so many different ways. For me in my life, it's become like a running dialogue. It's pretty much day to day. I'm walking around talking with them all the time. And that doesn't always mean that I'm hearing them talking back. Sometimes it's just like knowing that they're there with me. Other times it's, I ask a question and just, I know what to do next. So that feels really important, is to try different things. And what I love, because I work with angels love to play. Like I always say, play with things. When you try a new technique, don't look at it with like, don't be so serious about it. Like, oh my gosh, this has to work. Look at it as, I'm playing with this and I'm seeing how it feels and I'm seeing what happens. And then, if you're like, it was kind of okay, but I'm not sure, play with it again tomorrow. And then play with something else. Like you said before, Alara, like just start talking to them and saying, okay, if you can really hear me, then this. And you'll be surprised. There was one time years ago where I came home to my apartment that I lived in by myself. I opened the toilet and there was a feather in my toilet. No birds in my house. Like it was just really, and so you'll be surprised at the fun things that you can create when you approach all of this with an attitude of play and experimentation. Like I always say, if you resonate with something that I'm giving you, try it for yourself and then see if it still resonates and work with it that way.
That's exactly what I say too. It's like, don't take my word for it. You play with it, you try it out, see how it feels for you, but don't just do it once. Do it a couple of times, to really get the gist of it and really feel into it. And so Caroline is asking, what about finding what we want but not having the money to buy it? So we know what we want, but we don't have the money to buy it.
Okay. I really love this question, not because there's, someone out there with finding something and not having the money, but what happens a lot of times when we see what we want, when we discover it, that's like half the battle, right? We know we want this. So now what happens is we have a place to put our focus and we have one single thing to focus on. Guess what? When we focus in one direction, we're in meditation. And then the universe can align itself to bring us the resources for that. So basically finding what you want first really focuses your energy, and then you can work on manifesting the resources through that focus. When a lot of times, especially like in the old paradigm unworthiness stuff, it's like, okay, I think I want to go to school for this, but I'm not really sure. I have to get the money first. So we're not focusing. We just are waiting to get the money. When we're saying, oh, this is the school, this is the program, this is the thing, how now all of a sudden becomes how can I get the money and how fast can I do it? And we start moving energy a lot faster. So just know that, use it as service, use that knowledge in service to the manifestation of the goals. Especially, Carolyn, I can feel that when you find something, it's in alignment. So then just be like, okay, this is it, universe, money, like, that's it. And you'll be amazed. I've actually tested this in my own life. It's worked really well.
And she's been focusing for 17 years
I
on
see that.
this thing that she would like.
I would go back to, I'm hearing Archangel Michael again. What's missing? Like, what's missing? There's a missing piece. There's something there that's like, it's like where a puzzle piece would go. It's just missing. So I would, I don't know if that resonates for you. You said it didn't before, but I would focus there.
And Deborah's asking, do you talk to different guides differently? I don't, but
it's funny because I want to say no, but in as much as you talk to your friends differently. So like you might talk to Pat in a different way than you talk to Bob. You might tell them different jokes, I definitely have a different relationship with a lot of the angels that I work with. Like we talk about different things. We talk like the tone of voice is different. But in terms of how do I approach them? No. When we get into deities, sometimes I'll speak to them a little bit differently, but throughout my life, the guidance has always come like, to speak like I'm speaking to a friend. And so that's basically how I approach everyone. It's just a matter of, we all speak to each of our friends a little bit differently.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Thank you. All right. So Linnell says, right, I do voice out loud when things come in that cause a sidetracking of some sort that might not be so nice but doable, with a smile on face, and in my voice, not so funny. Funny, not so funny. Playing with them is truly enjoyable. And it can be. And that's, I love that you're making it light and playful, because it doesn't have to be serious. A lot of times we make it so serious and then we get stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happens. And that's a little bit of old energy too, where there's nothing wrong with being serious about your spirituality, right? We're all serious about our spirituality or we wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the element of joy. Like the most successful spiritual teachers and masters throughout the history of the world have been the ones who know how to laugh, who know how to harness and be in the energy of joy and spread it. And so when we open ourselves to being able to play and laugh and experience things in that way, then we are becoming more successful in anchoring the energy of joy and in doing what we're trying to do spiritually and evolving.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
All right, I just want to check in to see if there was anything I missed so we didn't talk about, or did we talk about being grounded? Because in order to really connect with our team, with our higher self, with our guides, with our angels, we do need to be here, right? Physically in the body.
Yeah. Yes. And I gotta tell you, I dislike saying grounded. I really, not my favorite term. And only because like in a community of sensitives, you say the word grounded and people are like, I'm out of here. Like I could feel everyone's energy as soon as you say grounded, like, and that's part of what we've experienced before, like about the world not being safe and all of those things. We've all had past lives where we've experienced that. We've all had experiences in this lifetime where, we were taught that the world isn't safe. So what I like to say now is embodied. Like we really need to be embodied, because I was always taught in the discipline that I learned, in order to lead people in a meditation, you have to ground yourself because you have to anchor so that everyone else can rise.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing now. We have to anchor ourselves and really bridge the gap between heaven and earth by being our feet on this planet. So we can be pulling the energy up from Mother Earth, bringing it to heaven, bringing the energy back down to heaven, and then expanding that so that everyone else can rise. And this is really where we are in the evolution of history, is rising. And how we want to look at that, rising may look different when we look at, a third world country versus if we're talking about spirituality and rising into the fifth dimension. That word has a lot of, rising out of stereotypes, but that's basically it. We really need to be embodied and present with our physical body, which Archangel Michael for 2 years has really been talking about. Make friends with your body elemental. Like, please make friends with your body elemental, because then you can have a two-way communication where you know exactly what your body needs to be its healthiest. And your body is also telling you where it needs direction. Like too much energy is coming in. Where do you want me to focus? And so that partnership really starts moving us. So I would say embodied. We need to be embodied. We need to be present in our bodies.
I've always disliked the term grounded, and everybody, all the healers that I've talked to for forever have always said, you're not grounded. It's like,
yeah, like, right. Exactly. It's like, no.
So embodied, I totally can get embodied. I mean, I totally have no, and I do ground. That's the thing. It's like, it doesn't matter, people just see different things and they have a different perception, but I'm grounded. What are you talking about? But as I say that, it's like, no, I'm not fully, because I can't fully be grounded. It's like, I'm always connected to source, right? I'm always connected to my team. I'm always connected to my higher self. So part of me is always going to be connected. But yes, I'm embodying myself here and now so that I can anchor in more of those energies and radiate them out.
Yeah. And you can guarantee that if you're judging your body in some way, we all do for various reasons, like, oh, this leg hurts, it doesn't work right, that we're not fully in our energy in that part of the body. And that's the irony of healing as well. We can't heal our body if we're not fully in it. We need to be in it to heal it. And so these are the ironies of this human experience for us. And yes, you can be fully embodied and you can be fully grounded while still being connected to source. And it's what happens is we pull that energy up through the feet like roots of a tree, right? The energy comes up through the feet to the heart center, and the energy from heaven comes down through the heart center, and that's where it expands out. Oh, look, we have a drawing. I love it. Did you see it? We have
No.
Linnell did a drawing.
Oh yes. Hold on, Linnell. 1 second. Bring it back up. Put it back up. Put it back up.
Okay, I was gonna unmute myself.
Ah.
Okay, I just drew this, and this is like my center meditation center guide, center of the earth, and then I connected it, and it went all the way up there.
Nice.
Love
Beautiful.
Really, it looks like a bookmarker. How cool is that?
It does, absolutely. Make it into a bookmark.
I'm gonna.
it. I would buy that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, it took a couple tries, but
Nice.
yeah, no.
But that's the thing. It's like you keep trying or you keep practicing, and that's how you progress, right? You keep going.
Right. And it's also like she's in the creative process, right? And we can experience that creative process. And we were talking about creative process before. Like, how can I create? What is it that I'm supposed to create? Well, guess what? The first iteration of it might be like, oh, yeah, okay, so there's an outline here. Something's not right. So what can I tweak over here? Okay, that's closer to what I was getting, but something, and it may take 4 or 5 tries to get it to where you feel like this is it. But guess what? Your creation is also a living, moving, breathing being that is going to ask to be changed and to grow and to evolve as it happens. And so that was exactly the perfect example of that process, is what she just did. It was like, oh, look at all the tries I did and I got it. This is what I was trying to express.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. Thank you, Lino. I'm just gonna see if there is anything else that we wanted to cover for sure. So I want to talk a little bit about how this is the time of limitless potential to boundlessly create. What does that mean, and how can we do that with more ease?
Yeah, so we kind of talked a little bit about this before, but we're in this energy of infinite potential, because so much of the fear is leaving us so that we can bring in these new energies. So, this, like, we're moving into this new energy, and everything else is being squeezed out. So we talked a little bit before about, like, people have known how to use this for a long time. Like, the people who've been in power have known how to use this kind of energy for a long time. And we've tended to have had, a lot of people here in past lives maybe had experiences with power that led us to not really be so open to embracing it in this lifetime. And so now what it is like, okay, yeah, we can take our power from the inside and we can start creating the world that we want to see. Because guess what? You don't just get to create negative things with this energy. We get to create positive things. And we're going to do that because we have each other's backs and we stand together. And so that's really what this is about. It's about remembering that this isn't just for certain people to use this energy. This is for every single person, whether you were born 1 minute ago or you've been on this planet for a really long time, whether you are, living on the street or you're someone in the biggest mansion in the world. It's equal for everyone. And that's really important for us to remember.
And, just to be clear, create does not mean making something artistic. Create means creating your life. Like, what are you doing with your life? Is it what you would like, or is it not? Like, how are you living your life? Are you expressing the truth of who you are? Are you expressing your greatness in life? That's creating your life. Are you enjoying it?
It could be doing your taxes. It could be making a meal. It could be making a child. Like, it could be anything. We are creating in every single moment. Every thought we have becomes its own living being. Actually becomes an energy that exists outside of us. So how are we creating our thoughts? Like, today, did you create all energies that you want to share the planet with, or did you create some that you're like, maybe I would change that, and it's just really about owning and harnessing our creative power. And yes, Melissa, I chose this day specifically. It's 3/3.
Oh goodness. All right. So I know we didn't do a formal process yet today, but I wanted to take a few minutes and talk a little bit about the special offer that you have for us, and then we'll go into a process and or take some more questions. So for those of you who are on the live page, you can just click on special offer. And those of you who are not, you can go to alara.at/show/Theresa Vee. And so this time for this show today. It's the Life in the New Paradigm program, right? So, Theresa, you want to talk about it?
Sure. So this is one of those creations that, was just like, this is what's needed now. You're going to do this. And I was like, okay, and how can we do it? So this is a 3-part video series, kind of like this, where we'll be together on 3 separate Tuesdays, and we'll just be really diving into this new paradigm. What is it? How can we create more effectively? How are we using the potentials? Where are we stuck? How can we take action? So it's really, we're going to dive deep into this new paradigm for these 3 days on these calls, and really focus on moving through this with ease and grace, moving through these shifts, moving through these changes. Like, we've been through a lot of the shifting and changes already. So now it's just about really, how Bambi takes its first steps and like trips over itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where we are. So how can we do this with more ease and grace instead of feeling like we're tripping over ourselves time and time again?
Yeah.
And so really the angels were saying, we're not sitting on the sidelines anymore. It's really not about letting others fix things for us anymore. It's about us being part of the solution, really making the choices, thinking the thoughts, and moving the energy, as well as holding the vision. So we'll talk about controlling our thoughts, time management. What does that mean when time doesn't even make sense anymore? Why are our bodies responding in certain ways? Like, one of the things that we're seeing since the new paradigm really kicked in January is, and I hesitate to say this at this moment, but there's been a big resurgence in viruses. Like in January, I can't tell you how many people I knew that had shingles. So why now? How is our body responding? How can we deal with this? What is this energy? And really move. How can we move most successfully into a place of complete trust and surrender while still retaining some sort of control and forward momentum in our own lives? And how do we just live in this paradigm of pure love while everything outside of us is trying to take us out of that? So that's really what this is about. And I'm super excited about this. I really am. I think this is going to be phenomenal. We're also going to do like an online forum where everybody can be in the space together as we go through this 3-week process and be sharing and, hey, I tried this, it really worked, or, what was this that was said again? I don't really understand. Like, whatever you want to share in that space is great. So that's what that's about.
And then there's a group healing temple session.
Yeah, so that's kind of I kind of referred to a call I had earlier today where there was a lot of deep energy work, and it was one of these sessions. So this is where we come together on a call as a group, and the angels offer healing energy, whatever's needed for us. And this energy goes deep. This is rewiring of genetics. This is absolutely changing the DNA. This is about removing old patterns for ourselves and the collective. What we're finding on a lot of these calls is that we've done a lot of the work in changing these things for ourselves. So we've really changed the energy, but what's still kind of in our DNA is the parts of it that we inherited. So the angels have been really working with us to remove that and to bring in new imprints in place of it. And these, I've seen like crazy things on these calls where these huge healings happen and they're just done, and that's it. And it's just amazing. So we'll often do a meditation in preparation for the deeper work. The angels will talk to us and give us messages about what the heck is going on in the world. And then we'll do the energy therapy and healing transmissions. And, sometimes it's sound healing, sometimes it's ancestral healing, sometimes it's epigenetics or light infusions or Reiki or whatever, however the healing needs to come through, it comes through. And then there'll always be the full integration of the new patterns, so you don't leave and be like, okay, what now? It'll be there. And sometimes, like today, we were guided to take 2 questions at the end. So there'll also sometimes be a Q&A. And I can't even, like, I was getting emails after like, oh my God, this is amazing. I had to actually get out of email so I could prepare for this. So yeah, they're really powerful calls and really beautiful because we're in the healing temple space, which is just lovely.
And then there's a crystalline chakra alignment audio as well.
Yeah, so that audio really helps us to move our system fully from the old carbon-based system into aligning our chakras with the crystalline parts of themselves. Like, you know, we're moving from that carbon-based to crystalline structure, and I'll walk you through in this journey with the angels how to do that, how to release stuck energy, increase flow, and create the opening for vibrant health that you're desiring. Because what we'll do is really bring each cell back to a state of silence, and that's it. You'll leave that meditation being just a clearer, more crystalline being, and it's really amazing. And it's not super long, so if you wanted to, you could use it daily or weekly. It's totally up to you. You know, it's about a half an hour, and I've used it myself. It's just really awesome. I actually really love this one. So, yeah, that's
awesome.
It's
Thank
amazing.
you. And so all of that is available for $97. Normally, I think $497. And the live group calls are beginning next week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. March 10th is the first one. And
Awesome.
everything will be recorded. So if you ever sign up for something like this, and it'll always be recorded and you'll have it. So whether you make it or not, it'll be there.
Yeah. What time are the calls?
That is a good question. They're usually, I believe they're 2 p.m. Eastern. It's either 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern. But if you do sign up, you'll get the information right away.
Yeah, and if you can't join, there's going to be a recording anyways. If people can't join, can they submit questions because there are some questions, right? Like time for Q&A?
Yeah, especially for the 3-part series. If you can't join on one day and you're really feeling something's up for you, you can always email the questions into me or support. And you know, most likely what happened, somebody asked this question the other day that had already purchased, and Archangel Michael said, yeah, we'll weave them into the curriculum. So that's what he says.
Awesome. Cool. Good. Thank you. So that, again, special offer is available at alara.at/show/Theresa3. So please do take a look at it. If you would like to know more about, you know, life in this new paradigm and really living in this new paradigm with ease and grace, creating your life with more ease and grace, and really just, you know, having more expansive life, flowing life, and be willing to take action. Okay, because it is about taking action. It's not just about wishing, intending, thinking. It's about, all right, let's take action, and getting the guidance to do that, you know, and being comfortable with the guidance that you receive. And also, it really is about being comfortable with actually asking your guides questions, right? Asking your team questions. A lot of times we don't even do that. You know, we think, you know, I think you talked about it earlier, Theresa. It's like, and there's some, you know, it's not a big question. There's other things going on right now that are more important. I'm not important, etc. No, you are, right?
Yeah, and the angels can be with all of us at the same time. They don't have any restrictions on time and space. And that's another thing with this package. You'll absolutely leave knowing more about working with your angels, knowing who's with you, and having a better relationship with them. So, and that's should you choose. That they'll be connected to you and they'll be walking with you, and it's up to you if you want to talk to them or not. So completely your call.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So do you want to take some questions? Do you want to do a process?
There were a couple of things that I saw, and I sense that one of them will lead us into what the angels want to do. Awesome. But one of them, Melissa said, my heart is literally exploding right now. Like, is that the energy? And so when I tuned in, Melissa, when I saw that come up, because when I first started working with the angels in a healing capacity, where they were working on creating space in me, as well as working on healing through me, I would feel the same thing. Like, I was working with a good friend of mine who was a client, and I was giving her an energy session, and she could feel my heart beating from where she was on the table. And she was like, your heart is beating crazy. And so my sense is that's what's happening to you. Archangel Ariel showed me she's connecting with you, and a lot of the energetic scar tissue that was around your heart is just being shed, because you are such a vessel of love on this planet, and you are going to start bringing the angelic love through your heart because of your intention. And so what they want you to know is that this is just that energetic debris being cleared. It's your heart opening and expanding even more. And the back portal of your heart is also going to do the same. You can hold so much more now than you used to. So it's just like a little bit of stretchy, growy kind of stuff. So they want you to understand that. And I could so relate, because that's exactly how it was for me. And I was like, am I having a heart attack? Like, what's going on? So yeah, amazing.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So Melissa, let us know how that resonates with you and how you're feeling now. Go ahead.
Beautiful. And I saw Linnell say that there was a lot of third chakra stuff going on. And this is where the angels wanted us to be right now. So when I tuned into them and they showed me what they wanted to do, I was like, okay, this is an advanced group. And they were like, sometimes you got to go back to basics to get to the next step. And so we're going to go a little bit back to basics to get us to the next step. Okay. So what we're going to do, I just ask everyone who's feeling ready or is in a place where we can do this to just kind of tune into your body. Gently close your eyes, just float them closed. And bring the breath to your solar plexus, which is right below your rib cage. And just notice as it expands with the breath, if there's any crackling or crunching, or you feel like muscles haven't been moved in a while. Just notice, no judgment, and let it go. And while you do this, imagine, sense, see, or perceive, however you do, a beautiful orb of golden energy rotating in this space. And each time you bring the breath, this prana here, the rotation becomes freer. The color starts to become more golden. And with each exhalation, just going to release, just let go. Beautiful. So 2 things are going to happen now. With each breath, you're going to let this orb of light expand, like the sun. Letting it expand in energy and warmth, just let it expand. And the second thing is we're going to let a thread of this beautiful golden energy come up through our entire system into the waiting hands of this beautiful healing angel who is as high up as you can possibly imagine. The solar plexus is the seat of our personal power. It's the seat of our immune system, and it's the seat of our digestion. So we're just going to keep letting this energy expand. It may expand past your body. This golden light, like a sun, may just keep going. It's up to you. Just let it go as much as it wants. And your angelic team on the other side of that thread is now just going to pour energy like liquid honey down through that thread of golden light into your solar plexus. Coating balm to fortify and stimulate and assist your immune system. And we're going to set the intention, because energy follows intention, that our beautiful orb of golden light keep rotating as much and expanding as much as it needs to. And we're going to let our beautiful angelic team just finish up if they're not finished. That healing balm being sent to us, that energy of immunotherapy. And we're just going to place our hands on our heart, taking a moment to give ourselves gratitude and our team gratitude. And then we're just going to move our hands to our solar plexus, just sending love to this part of our body. Beautiful. Just feel your sitting bones on your chair, or your feet on the floor. Gently rock your head from side to side. And then bring it back to a still point, and you can open your eyes when you feel ready. Beautiful. Love it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love the honey butter, like Linnell said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so nice. The immunotherapy, and right now we could all use a little bit more of that immunity energy, you know. But it's also about the expanding into our personal power, right? So that we can create with ease. I feel so like calm.
That's what they do. It's also, when we can tell how our immune system is doing very often by how we're digesting. So don't be surprised if you've been experiencing some digestive stuff, like if it starts to regulate itself. Yeah, this is really powerful. And you can do that again and again. So you don't need me to do it. You can actually do the same thing if it really resonated for you, because I'm seeing some people saying that. So
Caroline says, thank you. That was wonderful. The other Caroline says, I was the candy, and the golden energy wrapped me all up like a wrapped candy. Beautiful.
I love it. I love that. I love it. Carolyn, that feels so perfect for what you were asking about earlier and what you were saying earlier. I love this. So stick with that. When you are moving into like your creative space, wrap yourself up. Be the candy, Carolyn. It's beautiful.
Awesome. Good. Thank you.
Be the candy.
Just like she got it.
I love it.
Good. I love it. Awesome.
I just wanted to, I saw Deborah's message here. She says in her morning meditation, she sees a council and they ask me if I'm ready, but she doesn't understand. Okay. Good. You don't understand mentally, but check in with the rest of you and ask if you're ready. And that's it. One of my first experiences was seeing a council as well. And I knew when I saw them that I was going to be ready, because they wouldn't have been showing themselves to me if I wasn't ready. Now that's me. So Deborah, stop. Like, if you can, take it out of your mind and just like, cause you're like, ready for what? And they're like, you signed the contract, So, but they're respecting your free will choice, because now might not be your divine timing. So just feel in rather than think into that, and then give the answer if you're ready or not. Or you can also say, I just need a little more time to think about it. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Good. Thank you. So it was so funny when we started the meditation, the guided process, and you said, because we're also advanced, and Stacy had written it, I'm not advanced, I'm a newbie, because she's fairly new to the energy stuff and all that wonderful, all that stuff. But she says, I know I'm supposed to work with the angels, and I have healing energy coming through me, but I don't feel or hear the angels yet. Right.
Yeah, and I'm going to challenge that, because I don't think that that's true. I think the angels have been so close to you, and they've been walking with you your entire life, so you just experience them as part of your day-to-day. It's just part of who you are. So it's like nothing extra is happening, so you're not really perceiving that. So it's about slowing yourself down enough. So when I started moving, because I had a similar thing, when I started moving into needing to work with them in a different way, when I started to go to sleep at night, it would be like I was entering a conversation that was happening on the other side of a veil, that was happening already on the other side of a veil. And it was like I had left the conversation to have my day, and now I was going back, and I knew the voices. And then what I started to just do was bring that kind of crossing of the veil that was happening right before I went to sleep into my day-to-day life. And I started to see, wait, this isn't something new. They've always been with me. I used to hear them as a child. And that's what it feels like for you. It's just such part of you that you don't see it as anything separate.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Good. Thank you. I'm glad you asked the question, Stacey. Good. All right. So I'm ready, but in the head. Yeah, totally get it. So, a lot of it also has to do with getting out of your head, or just getting out of your head, being in the body, come back to your heart space. What do you desire? Like, what feels good to you, right? Good. Stacey said, "Oh, that sounds so exciting, and it makes sense to me." Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
Awesome. Part of getting out of my head for me, and I've seen this work for other people too. A lot of my students use this as well. Like when I was doing hands-on healing sessions, I would know some of the people, so I would want to be as like detached as possible, so the right energy could come through. Hang on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh yeah, drink water, everyone, or something.
This cup has an Ayurvedic like fruit thing mixed in with the tea, and when you get to the bottom, it has like all these little pieces of sediment, and that's kind of what is getting me. So what I started to do was like bring myself there and be embodied before the session. But then what I would do is see myself stepping out of myself and standing next to me and say, help me to be the purest channel I can, and like actually step out of my body, but stay there and let the energy just come through. So I knew that my mind wasn't involved. So I don't know if something like that feels good to you, if you're someone who's getting caught in your head a little bit, but that worked for me. So play with it and see if it helps, see if it works.
Yes, exactly. And with everything that we talked about here today, play with it, see how it feels, and don't just play with it once. Do it a couple of times. Do it. Play with it, and at different times of the day too. That's also going to make a difference as well with, what is your energy level, and, are you, so, because sometimes, at the end of the night, I'm not really good at that because it's like too late, but in the morning, I'm not a morning person, so a little bit later, right, for me. So see what works for you. And it's always about that. See what works for you.
Right.
But try it. Okay.
It's fluid and it changes. Like it changes as your body changes, as your energy changes, like things change. So once you find something that works for you, don't just say, this is it has to be at this time. And because guess what, 5 years from now, you might now be a morning person and you might need to do it first thing in the morning. So just kind of let everything evolve and work with you as it needs to be worked with and through you.
Go with the flow. All right. Anything else that you or your team would like to share with us today, Theresa?
Yeah, well, really, it's really important that we stay out of the energy of fear. And there's a lot of stuff moving through the planet, a lot of fear, but as much as we can to really check in with our intuitive self, to check in with that part of ourselves that knows, and just say, okay, what do I need to do here? Is there something I need to pay attention to? And then make aligned decisions from that place of really standing solid in our guidance and being able to do it without fear. And so it's really about riding the waves of fear and showing through our example, other people how to navigate things that can be very difficult, but without going into a place of paralyzing fear. And so that's really important.
Awesome. I just wanted to share really quickly because I had asked Melissa how she was doing. Remember, it was, she said, thank you. It does feel like a heart attack. Love the explanation that you gave. Beautiful. The process I chose to really expand that light and my belly still feels huge. Does working with the angels mean I need to use cards? So excited for this package.
Nope, you don't have to do it any way. Just play with different things and see how it feels. Like when I first started, I had a mentor who was like, "Oh, someday you're going to be giving readings without cards." And I was like, "Yeah, right." Guess what? I
Hmm.
started with cards but didn't need them after long. So it's completely up to you what
Yeah.
feels good.
Yeah, I started with cards way back when too, and it was fun. But now they're collecting dust over there. And I was thinking today, I was like, oh, I should take a look at those cards. Like, I just pulled it out and see what I get. But you don't have to, and that's the thing. It's like if you feel comfortable with it, great. If not, you don't have to. It's not necessary. Um, awesome. Read the vibration. Yeah.
Love it.
Good. All right. So for those of you who are, like I said, are interested in the package, please do take a look at it at alara.at/show/Theresa3. And again, this is about living in the new paradigm. This is about, really starting to create your life deliberately the way you would like to see it expressed in the world. This is about connecting to your team and your guides, your angels, to get that guidance, with clarity so that you can move forward. And it is always about moving forward, right? Taking action. And yes, you can, have that life that you desire. It is possible. And are you willing to do whatever it takes? And part of that could be working with Theresa. And it's a wonderful package. It starts next week. So definitely take a look at it. Okay. So thank you so much, Theresa. This is so much fun.
Thank you for having me. And it's my privilege to serve and to be here. So thank you, Alara. I just love this space.
Thank you. And everybody said this was such a wonderful conversation, so much great info. And it was, and it's like, this is practical guidance that you can use every day of your life. And why not, right? You're not alone. You're supported. You are loved. And, there's so much more possible for you than you even imagine. So definitely, work with Theresa and start moving forward step by step, and you'll get there. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. I'm so glad you're all here. And until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Bye for now.